Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the Second Section podcast, where we're just regular guys talking about model railroading. I'm your host, Andy Dorsch, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host, Mike Ostertag. Mike, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I am doing pretty good today. I'm still riding the Trainfest high.
I know. So am I.
Yeah, it was. I gotta say, it was a really exciting couple of days for me. Not only to get out to a train show again, right? I think this is the first one of the modeling year, as they would say, and it was a lot of fun. It was a really good show. I was really impressed with it.
The layout of it was. We'll get into the layout of it. I mean, it'll be. It wasn't bad. The way Kallenbach laid it out wasn't bad. It was a very good idea. It's just that we will discuss it at length probably a little later because it got a bit tight. Should we say? Can we say?
Yes. Yeah, it was. It was a bit tight. So both,
at least in the front.
At least in the front, yeah.
At least in the front. I never made it back to the layout part, so that's going to be all you. I was so engrossed in what was going on up front,
Yeah. So I made it all the way around, and it was certainly an interesting experience. I will say it was different. In my opinion, it was a different show than a Trainfest from Trainfest in the past. But before we get into the I guess the intricacies of how Kallenbach laid out the Trainfest, I think we got to kick it over to the section crew right away in the show. We got some new folks in the chat tonight. So right now we're 2 minutes in and about 45 folks in the chat tonight. So if you're out there in the chat hanging out, why don't you give us a hello and a head and a how's it going? And I'll just go through the section crew here, and we got Mike Shanky here tonight, Tony Dixon, Thomas Chris, Brandon is here, Ralph Ranzetti, former guest on the show. Welcome, Ralph. Dodo One Ops is here. JP, I'm going to say Mikesh or Mikesh. David Winther, the Beer Line Modelers here. Tim Moran, welcome, Tim. Thomas Austin's here tonight. Ken Zeska from the ever popular Crossing Gate podcast is here tonight. So welcome, Ken. The Chicago, Denver, and Northern is here tonight. Welcome. Paul from the Chicago Northwestern Mondovi line is here. Welcome, Paul. Randy Timmerman's here tonight. Let's see here. Mike Polito is here. Logic Rail Tech. Howdy, y'all from Houston. All right, welcome. Good to have you here. Stephen Gilligan, Nick LaRusso, Box Ride, and Iron River 11 is here. Neil Erickson, aloha. We had 3 inches of snow today, Neil. So just to let you know that everything's not sunshine and 80s all the time for some of us folks. Santa Ana Industrial Lead Model Railroad is here. Welcome. Let's see here. Andrew Estep is here. Chris Holzbach is here. John 2618 is here. Philip Taylor. Rob Arsenault is here tonight. Welcome, Rob. Bespoke Rail is here. Welcome, Bespoke Rail. And let's see here. David Karkoski, Joe Valentine, Rick Bonnet. SD Pandy Projects is here. Around the Layout podcast is here. Welcome, Ray. And yes, the hat does match the shirt. We did not coordinate that at all. That was just silly luck. Even the colors match. That's kind of crazy. They're It's like we're the offset color schemes
I
tonight.
don't understand what this whole Farland terminal thing is all about.
We'll have to talk about the Farland terminal later.
Add a little
for,
bit.
For those who are new to the podcast. Dan's,
And you have some more surprising layout news a little later too, don't you? Have
do
you
I?
made well, did you make an official announcement about
I
your
haven't
layout?
made an official announcement yet, but we'll get there in a minute.
Not that I'm pushing you into
You
anything.
could just go and push me right into it. So Dan's Model Railroading Journeys here, Gary Lenz. Holy cow! And the list goes on. John Rose is here. 917 subs, getting close. Yes. So I guess a little note there. We're at 917. Our goal by the end of December is 1,000. So if you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel here. That helps support our podcast, and getting to 1,000 subs is our goal for the first year. So thanks, John, for bringing that up. Let's see. Dave Nitch is here. Let's see, and I think we got a couple. And I think I said David Winther is here, but it's.
Now you gotta kick David Winther out because he's swearing at you like the Sioux line. No, I mean if you're switching to the Sioux line,
I would never do such a thing, David.
No, come on.
On that and back here from around the layout, breaking news: Andy is moving to S scale more at 11. We're going to stop that rumor right away. I'm going to stay in HO. So welcome everyone to the second section podcast. So tonight we're going to kind of change the format just a little bit. We're going to talk. Mike and I are going to talk about our experience at Trainfest, and that's going to segue beautifully into our first real segment called #NotSponsored, where we're going to bring up a handful of vendors and products that we're pretty geeked out about, I think all of which we identified at Trainfest.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into the short line of the show. And where are we in the world to this show?
We are again, we had to make a couple of concessions type of
it's
things.
It's our show, right?
It's our show. We can do whatever the heck we want, right? So we're in Kentucky. And today we went into Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine, and we're going to talk about the Trans-Kentucky Transportation.
Easy for you to say. That's a mouthful there, Mike.
Trans-Kentucky Transportation Incorporated, TTI, for all those guys that
TTI
know and love it.
Love it.
And semi-miss it.
And semi-miss it. Very good. And then finally, to close it down tonight, we're gonna look at everyone that is on the Facebook page in the section crew, and we're going to show what's on their workbench. And whoever wins, or whoever has the best workbench decided by Mike and myself, will win workbench of the week. So we got a pretty jam-packed show. So I gotta say, my first impressions at Trainfest, and if you guys have in the section crew, guys and gals in the section crew, if you were at Trainfest, let us know what you thought about it, because we would love to bring it up on screen to just essentially take a poll almost, like, what were your thoughts? Was it a good show, bad show? What could be improved upon? So for me, first and foremost, I do have to say that when I walked in we walked in at open. No, we got there a half hour early, and there was over 500 people standing in line.
The line was insane.
The line was, I'm like, years back, I could remember about 10 minutes before doors open, I can just, walk right up to the door with my ticket and get right into the show. It took us probably about 10 minutes after they opened the doors to actually get in. And I was just stunned. And it was nice walking past all the modelers that were standing in line, and you could just, there was a bit of camaraderie, or like I don't even know how to say it, but like there's a very positive experience in the air. A lot of people were happy that the show was back, and they were excited to see what was on the inside. I know
It's
we
kind of
ended
like
up.
walking into a family reunion.
Yes, yeah, it was.
A
I
lot of
would
people,
say,
everybody was friendly and faces, and you just everybody you saw was, "Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I haven't seen
yeah,
you for so long." It's and it was that's what I kind of you know thought the atmosphere was. To be honest with you, it was kind of like a thank God we can all get together again type of feeling. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
almost that vibe. It was fun. It was a neat. The line alone was a fun vibe.
Yeah, and it was kind of it was really awesome just to get the um I don't know, it's just when you walked through the door and then there it was. And one of the things that surprised me right when we walked through the main doors was I thought because it was a Kalmbach or a model railroader magazine show that they were going to be up front and center right the first thing when you walked in, and they weren't. um and it was just it was really interesting that they basically, when you walked in, it was I think it was Markland Trains was right up front, and they had a beautiful display of all of their European equipment. And then you walked in and turned to the left, and there was trains.com or model railroader and Atlas, and the booths were all shiny and lit up.
Bachman was right up in
And
front.
Bachman and Williams O scale
Williams,
was right up
yep,
front.
Williams
So
Olscale was right up in front.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was, and then just like, and even when you went off to the right, right after the gate, White River Publications was up front as well.
Yep.
So it was good to see that, even though there's Kalmbach and White River, and the two bigger, model railroad publications or railroad publications out there. um I it was,
There were people there in
yeah,
companies there, guys, that I haven't seen at Train Fest in probably a decade or more.
yeah,
I mean, Des Plaines Hobbies was there.
right, right,
Um, man, there's such a big long list. It's just they were the one that most stood out to me at first was them because I'm like,
yeah,
and I even told Matt when I talked to him, Matt, you know, uh, from DPH, I said, it's good to see you back. We've missed you up here, and it's just, and all the vendors were so engaging,
yeah,
like over the top engaging.
right,
Um, Exact Rails booth was just, you couldn't even hardly get close to it. Tangent's booth was busy. I
yeah,
mean,
right,
it was, and we'll get into all those things later, but it everybody everybody was just insanely just
yeah.
yeah, Yankee Dabbler. There
Yankee
you go. That was the other
Dabbler.
one I was
They
thinking
came
about.
from the East Coast.
Yeah,
They were there. And just, and then it wasn't your typical line of, so the manufacturer line up there, you had, your Atherns, Exact Rail, Tangent, Scale Trains was there,
Atlas.
Atlas, and a few others. And excuse me, and then there was, just there was the other manufacturers and vendors were there. Midwest Model Railroad was there. And that
Yes.
was, so, and that's a event, or like a hobby shop that we don't get to see at Train Fest
No,
very
I
often.
went to
Spring
see that
Creek
well a couple of times. He
from
was
Deschler, Nebraska
yeah,
was there. So
spring.
it it
It
was
was
it was
awesome.
yeah. So, John, just a note, we do have pictures of the show posted up on our Facebook page. I posted all the pictures that I have up there. So let us know if you're in the Facebook page there as well. So you can check out all the fun stuff that from both days at Train Fest. And then you had Rapido there, right, with the center beams and end scale, and then Chris Holzbach, talking about the historical societies that were there as well. Now David Winter must have got some intel from the folks at the Sioux Line Historical Society, because I talked to Fred Furcus there, and Joe, is it Lollensack, for probably a good hour and a half, and it was great to catch up with those guys again. But yeah, I'll just dispel the rumors. I'm not switching over to Sioux Line, but it was really good. They had a good showing there. Some neat stuff. The Green Bay and Western was there. Chicago Northwestern, the Burlington Society was there as well. It was really cool to see.
And we could talk about how I got shanghaied with the GBW Historical Society at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's not a venue to be asking somebody something, because how do you say no? I guess that's the way we'll get into it. Remind me to actually, okay, I'll just say it right now. I got asked to be on the board of directors for that. So, and I'm super excited and super honored to be able to do it. I said yes, I would do it when their elections come up. And as a former employee of the GBW, what an honor to just be asked and stuff. And I appreciate everybody over at the GBW Historical Society for asking me and even considering me. So that was very, very cool. So
yeah, no, it looks like
now I've got more work to do. Just what I need.
Yeah, right. And then Jay Weeks, was saying that he's been going to it from 1977, only missed 2 years over that span. So
yeah,
and
it was good to see you again, Joel. By the way,
yeah,
it was very good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time.
And then there were quite a lot of historical societies present, and it was super. Was the Milwaukee was there as well, right?
Yeah, the Milwaukee Road was there, except for, and that's one of the things that we'll discuss here in a little while, is like when we talk about the configuration of it, is they're usually like a longer booth, right? And this time they were much smaller. Like all the historical societies. I know the Sioux Line is usually a little bigger than what they were. I don't remember even seeing. Was the CNW there? Yeah, the CNW was there.
CNW was there. I stopped by, Paul. There wasn't. I didn't see anything that I could pick up for you there. So I'm sorry. On that note, plus I had hit a couple of the hobby shops that were there up pretty hard. For, I guess that'll tie into my announcement as of which is going to be coming at the end. Yeah, but I mean, so then that was just the front half of the building. So we had all of these manufacturers, we had all of these vendors in the front half, and then behind that, there were the operating layouts. And I have to say, they had a very large, or they had a very diverse amount or diverse population of layouts back there.
Were there any vendors back there at all? Anybody selling anything?
I don't think, maybe just along the sidewalls with like some memorabilia and some historical stuff. There was a couple of odd things, but I'll get to those at the end. The two things that I didn't like about the show, I'll share that in a little bit, but the operating layouts were really cool. So the couple that stood out was Modutrack was there, N-Scale Modutrack, and they had their very, very well detailed modular layout there. The Capital City Engineers were there from Madison, and they had a fun layout there. But then there was an S-scale layout, there was an S-scale layout there, and they had a couple of garden rail layouts, and one of them which they had like a video camera on, so they were going around the layout and videotaping all the people around the edges. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, Dave from the BNSF and N scale, a lot of N scale layouts there this year, and it was really cool. So, but and then there was one of the other like oddball layouts that they had there. They actually had a trolley layout there, or a traction layout there, where the power for the layout was supplied by the wires above. And it's the one with Mike Slater, and then Kevin Marks is a part of that one too, I think.
Oh, it
Um,
wasn't that guy that always used to with that really higher, more eye level one that
no,
used to be there?
it
He
was
always had the
down.
derby. He always had that derby hat on.
Yeah,
Um,
no, it wasn't those guys. It was I forget the name of it. The Northeast Shoreline museum layout was there, and I thought
oh, that's really cool.
it was super cool. They had some beautiful equipment, and the wire, to have the the wires, the overhead wires feeding the power to the layout, and then it worked as well as it did. The track was just flawless, and it was a really good operating layout. So I I was I was pretty impressed with the diversity of layouts there. But yeah, it was a good time. There wasn't it wasn't like a kid oriented show, I'd say. There wasn't the play area, the Lego area. It was really geared towards modelers. With the one thing I didn't like, there was like a home and building center booths were being
Oh, yeah, there
off
was
to
a
the
window
side.
place.
Window
Wasn't there
place and a roofing
a
place and a
roofing
gutter
place?
place, and
Yep.
it didn't make any sense. But
The one was right near the
yeah,
front. The
yeah, they
one
were
was
all
right
up
near the
front
front. They were all
and
up by the front.
yeah, it was just
Yeah, I
and those
forgot all.
guys,
I blocked that
those
all out.
yeah, those booths were there, and it was a bit of a mess. But yeah, but other than that, I thought the show was really solid. Some really There was some neat vendors there too.
Yeah. Well, they
Some
had the
some
stage there too. Didn't they have the who the heck was it that I meant to write it down, who it was that was doing their little live broadcast thing from time to time. Uh
Oh, it's trains.com, right?
trains.com.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. So they had so the crew from the Model Railroader Video Plus was there, Kent, and Jerry Leone and David Pop. I think Cody was there, Eric White. The whole crew was there, and they were with uh, actor, was it Michael
Michael
Gross?
Gross. Yep.
Michael Gross was there too. So it was certainly, um, it was cool to kind of see them going around, and they were talking to pretty much everybody and anybody that showed up. So I don't know. For me, it was great. And then the other part that I really liked was meeting all the people from the show, coming up and saying hi
Yep.
and shaking hands. That was really
Gave
great.
away a lot of stickers.
We gave away a lot of
A
stickers at
lot of
the show.
stickers.
I don't think I have many left now, but it was great to meet everyone and talk a little bit. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It certainly
What's
was a
a
lot of fun.
couple of the other things that kind of stuck out to me is, other than all the stuff that you've already talked about,
Yeah.
railroad museums. They had the
Hmm.
National Railroad Museum in Green Bay
Yep.
was there. You had the Colorado Railroad Museum and the Model Railroad Museum. Michelle Kempema, I talked to her for a little bit. I wish I
Yeah.
would have gotten to be able to talk to her a little longer, but she had to go and get on the trains.com thing. They had to go and
Yeah.
do
The
that.
women in
But
model
no,
railroading,
women
they
in
did
model
a
railroading
expose
thing.
on
Yep.
that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. And so, but got to catch up with her. I mean, I've only talked to her online here one or two times and stuff,
Right.
but they had a booth there. Um, and then for those of you that know, then for those that are new to the show, I have a speeder and everything that I'm rebuilding.
Yes.
Narcoa was there.
So what's
And
Narcoa?
Narcoa is basically it's the national. Now you're gonna put me on the spot because it's an acronym and I can't remember what it
Yeah,
all means.
turnabout's
It's a
fair play,
it.
isn't it? You're
I
putting
know
me on
it.
the
Dang it!
spot. Now it's
Damn it! It's the
anyone in the
National
section crew want
Association
to save?
National Association of Rail Car Operators,
There you go.
or
Look at
Rail Car
you.
Operating Association, or something along those lines. They had a couple of their speeders there, and
That
so
was
I
really
showed,
cool.
which was amazingly cool. And then I was talking with them, and of course, right away, are you a member? I'm like, no, not yet. I'm like, mm, no, not yet. And they have some very very specific standards that you have to. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite to the point where I can even try to do something with that yet. But I showed them what I was doing, and they were genuinely excited about what I was trying to do. And so they gave me some suggestions on a couple of parts that I need, and namely a fuel tank. And it was they were very nice, very helpful, very encouraging. I mean, it was. I don't think I've met anybody or any vendor that didn't have a smile on their face.
Yeah, I agree. It was
Our friends from Iowa Scale Engineering,
that's right.
Mike.
Yeah.
Well, I
Mike,
should say Nathan Holmes was there,
Nathan
and he brought
Holmes.
along Michael Peterson just
That was great
because
seeing
it
them
was awesome
as well.
seeing those guys. Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah,
were.
it was a good time, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And they were with Spring Creek. They had a little
Yes.
setup within Spring Creek there, and
Yep.
they had live demos of the proto throttle, and that was pretty cool to watch people interact with that awesome product. And
Yeah.
it was it was pretty cool to see. So yeah, it was
Not your
it was
typical clothing places. They were kind of smaller than what they thought. The
yeah,
selection wasn't as
there
actual. I mean, I
yeah,
think there was there three of them, or were there
yeah.
just the two, or were there three?
There might have been three
There might have
different
been three.
clothing outfits there, and but then they had the clinics there as well. Um,
Yeah.
so ESU, Matt Herman gave a talk. I know Stephen Priest was there from was it Class One Model Works. He was
Yep.
giving a talk about the restoration of the um, that Santa Fe locomotive. I forget what it is.
That an SD 45-2
The bicentennial unit, right?
bicentennial unit?
Yes, the
Yep.
bicentennial unit. He was talking about that. We had some people doing clinics with trees and scenery, talking about other prototype stuff. And then again, Matt from ESU gave a good talk about their wares that they have there. But it was interesting. They had for the modeler they had a little bit of everything, right? They had the prototype information, they had the museums, the operating, they had clinics, and it was a nice spread. And then of course the vendors, the hobby shops, and um, you know I spent a fair amount of money there myself
You ended
both
up spending
days.
you ended up
Both
doing very
days.
well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a real power play for me. I'll just say that. But yeah, so I guess overall, let here. Let's. JP says he's going to correct you, Mike. We're going to fact check you right here live. It's
That's
North
fine.
American
Perfect.
Rail Car Operator.
That's great. That's
That's
awesome.
perfect.
Fact check away, because
Yeah,
I tell you
fact
what,
check away. But I think that was, and for me, we came back. I came back a second day. Um, got to meet some more fans of the podcast, and then I
how was
brought
the
my
crowd the second day?
Sunday. It was packed again in the morning,
Really?
and my son and I came down. We got there about an hour after open, and it was packed again. And you know, we did the whirlwind tour of all the layouts, and then Henry wanted to go shopping, and um, so then we ended up going.
And there
and
goes the
and
other half of your paycheck.
yeah, and that was the other half, right? So yeah, that was good times. but that we didn't stay too long. I think we only made it till about noon. I was pretty wiped out after that. So, but I thought for for what they brought to the table, between the world's greatest hobby, that train show organization, and then Kalmbach, I thought it was really great show.
And I noticed, and I'm sure that many of you that had gone to it may have noticed that they had the divider up in the back.
Yeah,
That was only a portion of the room that they used, and it was explained to me by, oh man, I can't remember who it was that was saying telling me, but they said that basically their thought was is that they didn't want to overstep the size of and then have too many voids in the like
yeah,
overly large voids, so they kind of kept the room smaller to kind of gauge for next year.
right.
So I would expect next year that this is going to go back to this full room size again, or at least go to a 3/4. And because it was only what, maybe a little over half, wasn't it about half the size of the building, or do you think it was more than that?
Um, I think it was. I'd probably say, yeah, a little more than half.
Maybe a little more than half. But
Yeah,
then, but you go, now they can open that up a little bit more and know, well, we need to give the vendors more space. We need to, and
yeah,
the vendors spacing, we might as well talk about that while we're at it. It was typically when in train fests of the past, like I'm just going to use the Milwaukee Road Historical Society Association. I shouldn't say a society. Uh, Association is normally they have like a rather like a 2 or 3 space wide um uh area, and this year they're down to like a 1 space or 1 section
sure.
area, just like several of the historical societies were like that.
Yeah,
And um it was just so the things were a little bit more closer in, a little bit more tighter. They like crammed a lot into a smaller space. Um, but yet the one thing that they did also by doing that is between sections, aisles between sections were much wider. You didn't have to try to cut across into some place and have to go through LA traffic in order to try to
yeah.
get
There,
to it.
the sea of humanity was kind of
Yeah.
it
When
wasn't as bad as it was in.
when you're between the aisles, when you were down the aisles, you were kind of everybody was on top of each other to a certain degree. But then once you
Right,
got to a corner, you were much more open. And they had it segmented. So like you had a front half to the vendor section and a back half to the vendor section.
right.
And then that middle portion was nice and wide. And it was overall the layout of it, I liked it. I'd like to see them go a little give the vendors a little bit more space, and stuff, so that they can display more. Really, I mean, and bring more stuff. But
And truth be told, you don't. Yeah, we're only speculating, right?
right,
What actually happened in the planning behind the scenes, and maybe they're thinking, maybe this is going to be a flop. Let's not rent out all this space. And then all of a sudden we found out, oh God, you know, it was a pretty, at least in my opinion, was a successful show. And maybe being things confined, kind of skewed my understanding of what the crowd really was. But I don't know, when the line wrapped all the way around the building to get in and on opening day, just it was
yeah,
crazy. That was like, and that's never happened before, at least in my history of going to the show for like 20 years. So
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, it was. I've been there before where that line's gone. Been down around that one corner, but then it
Hmm.
only was like maybe 10, 15 people deep. This went all the way to
All the way around the corner, all the
almost
way
around
in
almost
the
to the other end of the
concourse,
building.
all the way
Yeah,
down to the other end of the building, and then it double backed on itself. So the line double backed on itself as well, and it was. But the crew kept everyone moving in, and from a like an operations standpoint, it didn't seem like there was too much, I guess, dilly-dallying or congestion in the, like the food areas and the concessions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, you and I and some friends, we went out across the street to, what is it,
Yes.
Paulie's Pub.
Whether we're going to be allowed back there or not is going to be something completely different.
Yeah, and that was a good time.
That
Got
was
to
a lot of
see.
fun too.
They have really good food there, and it was nice to sit down, chat with some modelers.
Shout
And
out to
really,
Chrissy, our server, if you happen to remember who we were.
I'm sure she's wanted to forget, or
Wanted to forget who we were. Yes.
tried to erase that from her memory. But at any rate, yeah. So all in all, good show. Um, some neat stuff there. Some really neat stuff.
Really, really neat stuff.
Yeah. So I think we should take. You think we should take our first break here? We'll cue up the Greasy Meat Hands band, and we'll talk about
sure,
some of the neat stuff
we
that
can
we
talk about the neat stuff.
saw down at
Neat
Trainfest.
stuff.
All right, gang. So we are gonna cut it out here in a second, and we're gonna introduce our next segment here with the Greasy Meat Hands band. All right, section crew, we're back, and we're here with hashtag not sponsored. It's the part of the show where Mike and I talk about the things, products, or news related items in the hobby of model railroading that we are really, really excited about, good or bad. So, and again, for those who are new to the show, here at the second section, we do not have any sponsors, so we can be impartial and have truthiness behind our
We
we'll just
can
call it reviews.
we can give our undaunting opinion on
Yeah,
unbiased, unrelentless,
right, and
unrelentless,
underwhelming opinions. So,
yes,
Mike, what do you have? So, do you had a couple of companies and products that you wanted to show for hashtag
yeah,
not sponsored tonight?
yeah. First of all, crack. This is our crack production staff here. This is
We'll have to pay the producers. We shouldn't have
yep.
spent all the money at Trainfest. We should have paid the producers.
Meh. They'll get over it. Let's see.
They'll get over it. So,
all right, here we go.
Here we go.
First one I'm going to talk about is this place right here. It's Dwarven Lighting, and it's a system of lighting a layout using what looks like fiber optics, and there's like no wiring involved.
What?
Yeah. I mean, this is all done without any kind of wiring. All the lighting on this little module is done without any lighting in it. If you can see it a little bit, or no wiring. I'm sorry. Yes,
Yeah.
but if you see, you can see there's like lights coming out of here, out of these little lights on the dock, and the street lights are lit up, and they have crossing lights that are a little on the bulky side.
For HO
because they're
scale?
for HO scale, yeah, it's kind of, they're just a single-sided thing. But here's what their products look like. It's basically like different sizes fiber optic wire is what it was.
So where does the light source come from?
This box right here that I'm circling, I'm not sure if I can.
So it's in the up. Yeah. So it's basically.
Yeah. So
it's one box to feed multiple strands of fiber optic.
Apparently that's the theory behind it. Yes.
That's really interesting.
It is interesting. It is a very interesting setup. And here he has I'm assuming that this is some Tamiya paint here. And if you look real close, this one end is painted green. So, I mean, obviously, and there's a red one right here. So you could use this to, make different colors, or to, you could use paint to diffuse the ends.
Mhm.
of these, and they had N, HO, and O scale things
Products.
products. Yes.
Mhm.
So it was really, here's another little scene that they had set up, a little diorama thing that they had set
Yeah.
up where you can see the building. I think it looks really good with the building, like the interior lighting for the building. I think is where it
Yeah.
looks really the best. And then like inside the tent, uh, and so yeah, I thought that was just one interesting place.
That's really cool.
Yeah, isn't that something? I mean, and I'd never seen these guys here before. And so it was just a very interesting
Yeah.
the whole concept to me was interesting. Now,
S
there's some things like I said, that crossing, you know, there's some things I think they could work on, but I'm sure that there's reasons why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
And I did not get a chance to talk to these guys. They were, as you can see here, they were pretty busy. Um,
Yeah, they did have a crowd around their booth
yeah,
all day.
yeah, and here's a good example. You can see the aisle. Look at how wide this aisle is here, where
Yeah.
you had nothing but space right there, and right to this gentleman's back is where the start of the layouts were.
Right.
So the layouts started back over that way. So uh, that
So
was, yeah.
so Mike Slater says here that Tradenfest Wise division on YouTube. So the Wise Division YouTube channel for the NMRA has a video showing on how that product works. So
Oh, that's
thanks,
nice.
yeah, thanks
Thank you,
Mike
Mike. Yeah,
for
thank you,
that
Mike.
little blurb
I
there.
just
And
think it's a really cool product idea. I think it was a really
yeah,
neat idea.
yeah, I think so too.
So, okay, then right next door to them
Ah,
are these guys. All right, so how can I say this? Emily, Mike and Emily is a saint. Uh, uh, these guys make, this is bespoke rail, uh, and what they make are, as you can see, is, now, Mike, I know you're in here. Correct me if I'm wrong. These are CNC engraved uh, whiskey barrel lids.
yeah,
They're beautiful. I ordered one for my Farland terminal. Uh,
that's
and
awesome.
yeah, well, I'm a little disappointed because I expected to have my proof and everything done Saturday night after the show. Because he doesn't have anything to do other than other show stuff and things like that. I mean, it's like,
Right.
well, I couldn't squeeze in my thing. That was fine, whatever. But I'm joking. Honestly, these guys were amazing to talk with. They make these whiskey barrel lids. Oops, that's going to be the next
That's the wrong
whiskey.
one.
Yeah, that's the wrong one. And they make 30-ounce and 20-ounce tumblers. And here's some of the
Oh, cool.
this is some of the things that they do with their tumblers. And
Oh my
so
God.
they were raffling they they raffled off this whiskey barrel lid right here, because we were in
Yeah.
Milwaukee. They raffled that one off, uh and so here they have some videos. I don't know if the videos, if you're seeing this, but he's shows how they make them, how
Oh, it's
there he is. You can
beautiful.
see him staining them. It was They're gorgeous. They're
I w
absolutely gorgeous. And what
Is
a
that
I mean,
oak?
they're whiskey barrel lids. So whatever a whiskey barrel lid is made out of, Mike, if they're,
I
I
think
know you're in
it's
here. If
white
they're
oak. I
oak,
thought they made them
yeah.
out of.
And
So these are
there's a metal backer on the back. There's metal strapping on the back, and then a felt back over the top of that, so you don't scratch up your wall. I mean,
oh, they're beautiful.
they're gorgeous.
It's amazing that, and they didn't have their giant CNC lathe there to,
I know, right?
yeah. I mean,
Which they
maybe
should. They could have done an in-show demo and just been doing it as a, you know. I mean, all kidding aside, next year, I know, Mike, next year. Here's some different ones that they have. The
Hmm.
Sioux line with this is all the same mug.
1003.
Yep, and
The
then the
261 for
261.
the Milwaukee Road.
Yep. I mean, absolutely beautiful metal. No, they're not Yetis, but they're a really nice metal tumbler. And yeah, just fantastic product. I was so impressed with them that I walked away, and this is where I spent my money. It
Hmm.
wasn't because I was an S scale or anything else like that, because there was other stuff I could have bought, but I wanted one of these. The minute I saw these, I wanted one of these.
It's really, I mean, they're
Yeah,
beautiful.
and this is just like I say, it's one of those accent things. Like everybody has a layout room, right?
Right.
So it's just something to really throw on the wall and just represent your layout. And it's just a really cool piece of signage, and just it's just neat. Um, so yeah, Mike and Emily at Bespoke Rail, thank you for helping me out, and thank you for everything. I look forward to getting my Farland Terminal whiskey barrel lid, and it was $150, I believe these were.
Wow. They're beautiful. I mean, that's a that's a pretty good price to pay for oak these days anyways, right?
Right.
And
Well, and then
the
they throw the machining in it and all the design and everything else, like, and they'll do custom stuff.
yeah,
So hence my Farland Terminal being done.
yeah.
Uh,
So Mike, can you go and throw their Facebook page into the chat?
I can,
And
yes,
then we're gonna have to do some post production on this one. We'll get um, Bespoke Rail in the show notes as well,
yeah,
where you can get a hold of them, um, and stuff online, as well as out on social media as well.
yeah. I'll throw as soon as we get done with my section on this. I'll throw his Facebook page out
Yeah,
onto into the chat.
yeah.
I'm gonna move on from here, and
Okay.
we went to.
Da
I'm gonna
da
go
da
to
da.
Scale Trains had
Yes.
their new S scale, well, to be S scale offerings here. It's a couple of older box cars, a 2-bay hopper, and a wide vision caboose. The wide vision caboose is actually it's gorgeous. The one thing I wish they would do is get rid of these marker lamps on here. If they were to get rid of these marker lamps that are on this, they would be just fantastic. But they other than that, the models are gorgeous. There's a lot of detail on these. Um, I talked with Shane from Skill
It-
Trains for a little
what
bit on this, and
what is that
kind of gave it,
giant?
huh?
What is that giant black thing on the back of the caboose? Is that the
We're not
coupler?
we're not going to talk about that. Yeah,
You can see
yeah,
that thing from space.
yes. That's because
Oh my gosh.
these are set up for American Flyer. Yep. These are set up for American Flyer, also known as
Oh,
also High Rail, which is American Flyer wheels and couplers with scale everything else.
but
Which
you can switch those out pretty easy,
yeah,
right?
oh yeah,
Yeah,
here you can
okay.
see a set of KDs and scale wheels on this box cart right here.
Yeah,
And then you can see let's see here, you can see the Rapido or the River Rossi style
yeah.
flanges and stuff like that.
Oof.
Yeah. Uh, but and my photo is not the greatest, but etched walkways on the caboose, metal
Yep.
grab irons, just really, really, really nice. Now, these are transition era, pre-war transition era type equipment, except for the wide vision caboose is more
Yeah, that's a
modern.
60s and 70s type
That's a 60s and
option.
70s type thing. Yep.
So are
Uh,
those PS1 box cars there? Just are those the Pullman standard
I
box
think they
cars?
are I do no, they are not. I believe, and if Dave Nitch is in here, I can't remember if he's in here or not, or any of my other S scale friends. I believe these are a USRA
Hmm.
boxcar. So this would be a wartime boxcar. I think these predate the PS1.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and then same with this. I believe this is a USRA style 2-bay coal hopper. I I might be wrong on the style. I do not pay that close of attention to that era because that's not in my wheelhouse. But yeah, but this is definitely very close to an international bay window caboose, or I mean a wide vision caboose.
Sure.
So that was scale trains. Shane did not tell me when they were planning on making when the production was coming out on these. I can only assume, and so I don't want to give out a date or anything else like that. But I mean, this is the second or third show that I've been to that he's had these. He had them at St. Louis also.
Yeah.
So it's been every bit of 6 months since he's had these things out. So I would imagine production is moving forward.
Sure.
So, but this
Ooh,
was the big S scale find. The next two things were the big S scale find for me.
what's this?
This is okay. This is the culmination of the late Ron Sebastian's one of the late Ron Sebastian's projects that he had going prior to passing away. And Ron Sebastian was the owner of Des Plaines Hobbies
Okay.
and owns S Scale America.
S Scale
And
America.
yep, and this is a ACF 2-bay covered hopper. These are very prevalent. The Chicago Northwestern had a ton of these things.
They had all of them.
They had a boatload full of them. I believe I mean, I think most of the predecessor railroads from the CNW also had some of these, and I mean, there aren't very many railroads. I know the Milwaukee Road did not. The Milwaukee Road never bought any of these, but a lot of the other Class 1 railroads in the United States bought these. So this is going to be a very welcome car for an
20
S scale.
was that the 2970?
I don't. All he has on there is that it is a 2-bay
The
ACF
2-bay.
covered hopper. So yeah, I would imagine it's probably the 2970. He has it as a high handbrake right here, and I'm not going to be. I know I can tell. I know I can say this is that he's thinking about working on trying to make a low handbrake version for a more modernized car. So that may become an option in the future, but I believe at first they're going to be high handbrakes.
Okay.
But the low handbrake version may come down at one point in the future. It's a matter of either, and he and I talked about it at length a little bit about some ways we could do this. And one of the things I mentioned was just make the handbrake a separate piece and then offer a way to glue it to down here and then just give a template to cut the ladder.
So those look like really good detailed kits. They have the photo etch walkways on the top.
Yep, Plano is doing the walkways for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're beautiful. It's absolutely. I am totally geeked out about this car. I plan on having several on my layout at one point.
I was gonna say your the checkbook's gonna come out here. Looks like.
Yeah. Well, now then there's this, which I kind of half knew this was around, but I hadn't seen one in person yet, and this was absolutely gorgeous. It's a 3-bay Maxi 4 well car, and intermodal well car.
Really?
And new bulk tainers, 20-foot bulk tainers.
Cool.
And then 40-foot corrugated containers. So again, S scale is getting a little bit more modern equipment. It's starting, we got to walk before we can run stuff, right?
Or crawl in this case.
Crawl. But I mean,
Yeah.
hey, right? So these things are absolutely gorgeous. And again, etched walkways,
Yes.
The amount of detail that's in this, look, I mean, these grab holds look so delicate and very, very well done.
I mean,
You know,
it's it's obviously rivaling the detail that you would see on something like a tangent HO kit or an exact rail
yeah,
offering. It's, I mean, you're getting the fine photo etch, the fine grabs and ladders, and it's, I mean, and then the body, the molded on detail is really sharp too. So it's not like it's just just a couple of sides of styrene, and then
right.
it's a well engineered car from the looks of it. Same with the ACF covered hopper. they
Yeah,
they look like a very high end offering.
and the thing that is the most that I told Matt that I think is one of the most brilliant things that this planes hobby is doing, and they're one of, I know in HO scale there's several that are starting to do this, but this is one of the larger scale. They're doing kits, new
Mm,
product kits,
yeah.
and ready to run. And I told him I think he's going to sell out of the kits before he can even blink. I think that these are going to sell out in all of this. All these products are going to. That's my opinion. I think that they're just going to be gone. Um,
So that's I mean, and not to, like, we're gonna go right into a rabbit hole here.
we are. I
Yeah,
know. Here we go.
because
Here's the rabbit
you
hole.
set it up. So kits are ready to run. So,
Yes.
like, the model maker in me wishes, because I mean, I wish there were more offerings for kits. Because I remember, like, there's a bit of nostalgia here, and there's a bit of reasoning for this, right? Um, I remember as a kid, my favorite memories were sitting at the workbench and building. And granted, it was, building a Walther's tank car, or even like knocking out a handful of blue box cars. And of course, those weren't really kits, right? Or AccuRail, right? And actually building the cars that you put on on the layout. And I just I think personally, I wish there were more kits out there available.
Yeah,
Um,
I think at one point you're going to start seeing more and more of that coming out. I think you
yeah,
will. I think you're going to start seeing more kits coming out. It, it's 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 one of those situations where uh, it you can modify a kit a lot easier than you can a ready to run piece of equipment. Especially if the kit is done well. If it's a flat kit, you can do it. You can, where you have four sides and or
yeah.
five. You have five sides and an underframe and whatever. But uh, I think I think kits allow you to be able to um, kind of put your own modeling efforts into it, and
Yeah.
you're not subject to what the manufacturer is putting on it. You can do things the way you want to a degree. And I think you're going to start seeing yeah, the Godfather Ken Ziska is here. But um pulling it's yeah, I think kits are going to be the wave of the future. I mean, it's all cyclical, right? We used to have nothing but kits, then there was a combination, then there was nothing but ready to run, and now, manufacturers, doesn't Moloko, isn't Moloko a kit?
um, no,
Do they
they
offer it in a
offer
kit?
ready to run.
Oh, okay. But it's just yeah, those were the standout things to me. Um,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta put that in the chat. I gotta do that.
Yeah, make sure you get those links out there. What for the first company too, and then Bespoke Rail. Make sure
Yeah,
that you get those out there as well. So, section crew, thanks for bearing with us. We'll get those links out there. I didn't have them for the show notes prior to the show, and then I will do some post production and get them out there, so they'll be there forever. So I'm gonna take just a bit of time here myself, and we're gonna go through some of the things that I found at Trainfest that were really neat. So I'm gonna go ahead and we'll try and, I guess, expedite the the process here.
Oh, like Boomer, Boomer says the those SW1200, the SW1200 things, undecorateds that they put out by Rapido. I
Yeah,
don't think you'll ever see those again.
yeah. So we're hanging out with we managed to hang out with our friends over at Athern while they were down at Trainfest. So Jim Wiggin, a former guest of the show, was there. It was great to meet him in person. And they ended up doing a live release at the show of an SD59MX. So it's a Union Pacific model. And then they also brought out an N scale tank car as well. But I thought it was really neat with the tank or the SD 59MX. I thought that was an interesting release for them. Basically, it's an eco-friendly SD60, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
So that was interesting for them to release. Keeping in line with the kit and caboodle, I'll open up here the other thing that I wanted to share with you. There's actually two things I wanted to share after this, and the other release was by Tangent, and I'll pull them up here. The IC caboose, Centralia cabooses that they had. So I thought these Illinois Centralia shops wide vision caboose. They brought these out, and they had some there for sale. And I know a handful of the modelers that we hang out with bought quite a few of these. Um, and they're just absolutely gorgeous models. Um,
Probably
with
one of the best cabooses I've ever seen done.
And they're lit. So
Yeah.
they're lit. They're pre-lit, so basically all the lighting functionality is there. They got some really cool road names in this release. So they have the old Illinois Central, the Death Star gray repaint in, I thought that was pretty cool. The Canadian National um, repaints as well. And then they had a Mid-South,
Yep.
which I thought I didn't know about that until I saw it sitting there. And then they have undecorated kits available as well. So like Split Rock says, you can build one and paint one up for your Railroad of Lies or your
You
freelance
can.
railroad.
They also did the Chicago, Missouri and Western, which who does
Yeah.
that railroad? I mean, that was
Yes.
not a very long-lived railroad at all, and
Let's see. Where was it?
it
Right.
was right
Is it this
next to
one?
the. No, it was right next to the. It was right next to the gray one, I believe it was. In that picture, up higher.
This one.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
There you go.
this is what they had here for yeah, that was the CMNW.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that was just fantastic.
they're absolutely beautiful cabooses. And I have to this is I'm dropping a huge hint here to our friends over at Tangent. If you ever made a Thrall caboose for Milwaukee Road or Chicago Northwestern, I would. I'm not saying that I'd have to take out a second mortgage, but I probably would.
We might have
So
to start a new segment instead of hashtag not sponsor. We might have to start a new segment called "Shut Up and Take My Money."
yeah, shut up and take my money. I mean, even these are in that category of shut up and take my money. I don't model IC or CN, but they're beautiful cars. They're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I mean I was blown away by them, and there are other caboose offerings they had there too. They were kind of like the caboose central for for pretty much because they had the chassis system ones.
Yep, they
They
had the
had
bay
those
window ones.
the East Coast bay window ones.
Yep,
They had those. What are they? The Penn Central? Were they Penn
yeah.
Central? Something like that. I mean, and just
We always talk about the head end of the train, right? And the
yes,
locomotives and the detail that are out there. But if you're running in the caboose era, it's almost as prominent as the head end. And I
yeah.
think I think they're really hitting a nice niche market here of let's have a really super detailed end of the train as well.
Well, what are the two parts of the train you really pay attention to?
The front and the end, right?
The
The front
front
and
and
the
the
back.
back, right?
Yeah,
The front and the back. So I mean,
right.
it's it's uh it stands the reason that these models are coming out. How much were those cabooses? Do you remember?
$120.
Today's market with what they were offering in them, not bad, I don't think. I
No,
don't think
I
that
I
was
thought that was
horrible.
pretty. I mean, just the with all the detail that you'd expect from Tangent, plus the interior lighting. Um, and I will say this, for as much as those, the detail and the underbelly rigging and all that's on those kits, they run incredibly well too.
They were not
They're not
light
just
though. They're not
no,
just a throw on the layout type right
yeah,
out
they're
of the
not.
box kit either. I mean, it's those had some. They have a little meat to them, you know.
Yeah, and then Boomer here chiming in says, "Wait until you see the limited edition CP caboose van by Rapido coming." I cannot wait to see that.
I can't
Um,
wait either.
I think that'll be
I wonder
great.
if they'll do the WC-17.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I should take a picture of the one we have in Manitowoc and send it over to them.
Yeah. So the last thing that I want to bring up a firestorm here. I want to bring back some bad memories for some of us modelers, but there was a there was a model that was released maybe almost a year ago now, that set the model railroad world on fire, but
Why are
made a
you
lot
doing this?
but made a lot of people very sad and when it was released. And I think there were some signs at certain train shows that said, um, you
The
know,
model that divided the hobby is what
model
it was.
that divided the hobby, right? So let me see if the old screen share will work here. Um, but where are they
Yep.
here? Here we
Yes,
go.
you got that
The
right,
S
Dave.
the SDL 39 from Scale Trains. They're now coming back and releasing the rest of the numbers for this. So this will be a museum quality HO scale EMD SDL 39. Milwaukee Road. They're doing a few of them in the Billboard. They're doing the South American Railroad
I believe
again,
it
and
is it. Yeah, Chile, I think it is.
yeah, I can't pronounce it. FEPASA.
Yeah.
Um, and then they're also doing Wisconsin Central as well. And I've seen mixed reviews on the release already. Some of the Wisconsin Central folks are saying the colors aren't correct. And then, of course, the electronics within the DCC versions be a little different as well.
Am
But
I correct in saying I heard a rumor that this is the last release for these?
this will be the last release ever from Scale Trans for this model.
Yep.
So hopefully they'll have all the bugs and stuff worked out. But you can see here their MSRP for DCC and sound is going to be 365, and about $100 less for without the DCC sound equipped.
Yeah.
So get your pre-orders in now for that. And again, if you have any complaints about the model, I think Split Rock was taking up a collection, $1 per
A dollar
complaint.
per.
That was
Yep.
$1 per complaint. Tell us where the SDL 39 had hurt you, and we'll set up a fund for that. So
The complaint jar paid for dinner that night, I believe.
yeah. So I have one, and I'm not trying to plug um, my own personal YouTube channel, but the first run did have some significant, I guess, issues with the build or with the model on the shell. So I show how to fix that with the pilot sloping and all that good stuff too. So, but yeah, SDL 39 re-release of the rest of the numbers. So that should be interesting. We'll see what in August. I think they're due to hit our shores. So August of 2023. So that's going to conclude hashtag not sponsored tonight for us. I thought the Train Fest edition. So I thought it was pretty cool little roundup of everything that was going on there. And then yeah, Split Rock, I will get a link up to that video. I'll put it in the show notes as well. So all right, gang. This is going to take us to our second break in the show tonight. We're going to go ahead and get the Greasy Meat Hands band all fired up, and they'll introduce our next segment. So hang on. All right, section crew, it is time for short line of the show. This is our part of the show where Mike takes us around the country and highlights short lines from each of the 50 states and basically puts together a model railroad or puts together a discussion about a short line that you could build as a model railroad. So
Yeah.
tonight we are in Kentucky.
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 Yep. Kentucky.
All right.
Kentucky, like Kansas, very few short lines that aren't owned by somebody else.
Okay.
Several short lines that come into Kentucky but are based in different states, which really kind of made me really mad because the one I really wanted to do, I'm telling you, when we get to Tennessee, we're doing 10 Ken. That's the one we're doing.
10 Ken?
10 Ken. That's going to be the one that I want. Tennecken, or however you pronounce it. That's the one we're going to be doing. Because that was the one I was all geeked up to go and do. And of course, they're based out of Tennessee and not out of Kentucky. And I was just like, okay, great. But
sad day.
It was actually a sad 5 minutes. Yes. I felt sorry for myself for an overly long amount of time. But I decided to kind of go into the Wayback Machine a little bit. Yeah. And do a railroad that has been really popular, I guess, with rail fans. And as a matter of fact, Minnesota Commercial has one of their locomotives now.
Really?
Yes. And it's the Trans-Kentucky. Here we got to do this, don't we? Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Hashtag not prepared.
Right? It's a Trans-Kentucky Transportation Incorporated, which is still around. They're still operating. They've been purchased. They're owned by CSX.
Okay.
But they're kind of run on their own thing. So, but back in the day, these guys were like coal haulers. And they had a very eclectic, kind of a Green Bay and Western type of motive power, as
really?
they were mostly GE. As you can see right here, you can see their roster. Yes, they had a single Baldwin switch engine.
There you go.
They had a couple of Alco S4s, and then these rebuilt RS3s are called GP12s. I believe those were Conrail at one time. I may be wrong on that, but I'm sure
the section crew will.
They'll let me. They
will let you know.
If there's one thing I'm going to say about the section crew is they never disappoint with doing fact checking
Yeah,
during the show.
and we
It is,
appreciate it.
and I do appreciate it. More hands make less work, right? So I mean, if
So,
that's so, but they have several U-36Bs and
oh, cool.
B-36-7s and
Ooh,
a handful of U-28Bs. So I mean, over the years, this is what their roster consisted of. So it was really a, a, a really neat railroad to go and photograph. Unfortunately, uh, it says here on the Wikipedia page that there was a washout on the Mayville line, and it
oh,
ended up closing the line. They're based out of Paris, Kentucky, and from what I understand, is that basically they have a yard there in Paris, Kentucky, and they do like a lot of storage stuff. There's only a couple of engines left running. That's my understanding in doing my research. So right
okay.
now they're still around, but just kind of a like a little switching thing going on. Uh, but wow, what a cool railroad back in the day. Really picturesque in spots. As you can see, here's their Baldwin. Neat paint scheme, a little silver and blue or a gray and blue.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they had several different paint schemes actually. So uh, they had this neat solid blue one. I mean, here, check this out. Look at this picture right here. How beautiful is that? I mean,
So, I mean, you got what are we looking at here? It looks like so they're running a coal train,
they're running a
and
coal train. Yep.
it's your classic Appalachian scene with the main line right on the lake, and then
Yep.
you got the hills in the background covered in trees.
Right through the
You know,
back part of town.
right
You
through the
know,
and then right there's town right up next to the rails
yeah.
in this
And
rural scene.
from what I understand is the majority of what they did was haul coal.
Hmm.
And when the washout happened, that kind of there were mines that closed and things like that. Here's some they have railroad pictures archives .net has a really nice collection of their motive power. I believe they have pretty much all the engines covered. Let's see. This is all. That's not a very good picture. Let's see here. Uh, you can model this. Here's what a former Pittsburgh and Lake Erie unit looked like in 1993.
Wow. So it's just
It,
basically what
yeah,
an old
first, yeah, it looks like a U-25, but it's a U-28. It's a
yeah.
first phase one U-28, which had the U-25B body on it, and just a neat motive power to just go and uh, uh, try to get whatever coal they had over the hills. They did what they needed to. There's an old Rock Island locomotive at one point. Um, just
So basically they go what northeast from Lexington.
yes,
Basically, they're on the outskirts of Lexington, Kentucky,
yep.
and they go
Right
north
in Paris, Kentucky, and
in
here's their
Paris.
yard.
There's
Where's
their yard.
well,
So
hold on a minute.
they're what is it? 20 miles? This short line?
They are now. I believe they were like 100 and some at one point. They're 50 miles in length.
50 miles in length.
50
Okay.
miles in length. And you know, here's that. This is what Google Maps is showing. I've seen photographs of this engine house with these wing tracks here having
Hmm.
nothing but CSX power in it.
Really?
Like, yeah, just old GE CSX engines for parts. How interesting is this shed? It's curved.
It's a curved maintenance shed.
It's a curve and it's open air.
So
So
it's just basically
it's
a roof.
a roof with girders, basically, is what it
Wow.
is. Yeah. And so this, from what I understand, is basically the power that they have. Might not even be this much there left. But they do a lot of car storage. As you can see, there's a
Yeah.
lot of car storage here. This right here is the CSX main line.
Okay.
And then the rest of this is all TTI's yard. And then the TTI engine facility right in Paris, Kentucky. And the main line goes through Paris, Kentucky, and then this, if my memory serves me correctly, this is the CSX, and this over here is the TTI main.
Okay.
So I do not know what they are actually doing other than car storage and switching right now. I don't believe they're hauling much coal anymore. Like I say, there was a washout and a line got severed, and it pretty much put a kibosh to it. But it has an enormous following. The railroad has here's a picture that was one of the pictures I was talking about at their engine facility. All the CSX power sitting there. And then they still had some coal and everything like that. This was back in, what's this say? 2015.
Yeah.
So good following on Flickr. They have a YouTube presence. They actually have like a company page,
wow.
YouTube page. And it just describes kind of what the company is doing. But some really, really cool videos are in here.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, there's that shop.
Yeah, here's the shop, the drone shop. They have some transload facility stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, layout wise, I guess you could do a couple of things. You could research how the coal line was and
Yeah,
run
right.
coal and run either a shelf layout or like a regular full basement layout doing TTI, and have coal trains running back and forth. Or you could do like the modern day transload switching style layout.
Right.
You could do a lot of different things with this. And I know I'm not going in depth in this as much as I'd like to, as I have in other ones, but some of the information is kind of hard to find on this railroad. It's not like it's hard to find really good info on this railroad.
Sure.
But like I say, I looked for a corporate site and I didn't see one.
I thought I
So
found one. It looks like they're part of MB Rail.
see, I saw that one too, and I wasn't sure if that was I wasn't sure how new that was. Yeah,
Looks pretty new.
does it?
Yeah. So it's the mbrail .com/TTIS.
Let's see
And
here.
they have their map there and going from Paris up to Mayville.
mbrail.com/TTIS. Hey, there we go.
Da, 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 da.
Da-da-da. All right. So, yeah, I totally skipped over this part.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys. But anyway, it's a really neat little railroad. Really, really cool little railroad. And you're going through some of the mountains of Kentucky, and you're getting just 50 miles is not bad to model. I mean, you can do that, right? I mean, most of us try to do hundreds of miles.
Right, exactly. But no,
But
that's interesting. Like it's something that you don't see a lot is like car storage apps on layouts.
well, there's not a lot of glamour in it, right?
Right.
So, but you can have some of the car storage stuff. You can have customers ordering their cars in, customers ordering cars, cars coming in, cars going out.
Right.
It's
I
You could
mean,
have them being re-stenciled. You could buy a whole boatload full of cars, put them on your layout, and then one by one having them re-stenciled, and then you could do all sorts of different things with
yeah,
stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
and then you could, if you had an operating session, you could make people, dig the cars out of the middle of where they're set out and
Yeah,
really, really, really frustrate some operators. I think it's a great thing that we need to explore.
I, I
A
wish
great
I wish I
Stardust
did.
operations that we need to explore.
I had a really busy last couple of weeks, and I did not have a whole lot of time to divest into getting. I want to learn more personally. I personally want to learn a lot more about the coal hauling portion of this railroad because because to me that was what this railroad was all about, was
Right.
hauling coal.
Yeah.
And what it is now is not what it was 20 years ago. Or 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So it'd be interesting to see exactly how the coal hauling operations were. Um, I would love to find more information out about that. I know, like I said, this is kind of a way back railroad. It's not what it used to be. I can say that much. You
Oh
know,
man.
yeah. So I know this used to be a place where guys would go just to get just a rail fan TTI.
Yeah. Right.
So
It's a
uh,
destination type
it was a
place.
it was a destination type place. Yep. So, but uh, I believe the next one we're going to be doing is going to be in Louisiana, and I have a half an idea as to what I'm going to do on that one, but I have to find some stuff out as usual for that one. It'll
Yep.
be much more in depth. I apologize for this one, but it's go check out TTI, and if you want to model a coal hauling short line, uh, definitely one that you could throw your hat in the ring for.
Yeah, for sure. So that's interesting, Mike. And you talk about Louisiana on our next show. And our next show, if memory serves me correctly, here's going to be the 29th of November, and that's going to be the 1 year mark for us.
It
Uh,
is.
it is, yeah. So that'll be our last show before we hit 1 year. Um, I can't believe that we've been on the air, so to speak, for a year already. So
A
uh,
year?
a year. It's going
Wow.
to be a year. But anyways, I really like that paint scheme for that railroad. It was really cool, and the different power. Yeah, it'd be
Yeah, I
kind of
feel
fun.
bad because it's not as in depth as like I've done it. I mean, I've done some that have been a lot more in depth than that, and
Yeah.
it just kind of uh, it's been a crazy last couple of weeks, but it, it's it, I would like to get down in that area and actually see
Oh yeah.
what was there, and see what they're up to now. I mean, uh, it's kind of neat.
Yeah, it is. It is fun. So thanks, Mike, and just so you guys know, Mike puts in a lot of research into these railroads before every show. So it's not like these things are just the day before. So thank you, Mike, for doing all of that and showing us what's going on in the world of the short line. So thanks, Mike. We're going to take yet another break, and we're going to have the Greasy Meat Hands band introduce our last segment here. And we're going to have some fun here in just a second. So let's do it. All right, section crew, it is time for the fan favorite, what's on your workbench? Hashtag what's on your workbench this evening. So, for those new to the podcast, we do have a Facebook group out there, Second Section Podcast, out on Facebook. you can join the Facebook group. The only fee is you have to answer the questions 3. And you can be part of the Section Crew community on Facebook.
Just don't say I don't know.
Yeah, right. And before each show, or before shows on Tuesdays, we will put a teaser out there for what's on your workbench, and you can share with the rest of the Section Crew what you are doing, what you are working on, and then Mike and I will critique your workbench. And this is also an exercise where Andy tries to read on live air. So it's always fun for me as well to stumble through some of the stuff, but it's great to see all of the hard work that's going out there in the Section Crew. So before we kick it off, Mike,
Yes.
have you been working on some stuff?
I've been busy.
You've been busy.
I've been very busy. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, watch this. Dun, 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 dun,
Don't
dun,
do
dun,
it.
dun. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. Boom.
Oh, we're on the workbench
We're on the
cam
we're on
here.
the workbench cam.
Workbench cam.
Well, first of all, let's see if I can get this in here before. I should have probably put this on
It's a
before
nice cradle that we see there, Mike.
It is a nice cradle. I tell you what. Hey, speaking of that, I did not see those guys at Trainfest this year.
Oh,
The guys that the tool guys, there were no tool guys at Trainfest.
There were no tool guys at Trainfest.
So my Farland terminal switch engine is now painted and decaled.
Ooh, look at that.
Yep. And as you may have seen or before, completely repowered with a Pro Power West motor. So I gained a lot of room because the other motor was, well, I have the other motor somewhere. The other motor is, here's the other motor. I went from this.
Jeez, that thing's a giant.
Yeah, I went from that to that. You don't need, with DCC, you really don't need flywheels, right? So I kind of made up my own. I took the guts out of a flywheel and made my own connectors and things of that nature onto the rods. So, but the engine is coming along. It's going to get its new decoder and decoder buddy and stuff like that. Put ESU version 5 in it.
Nice.
So going to start getting that taken care of.
Mike, we got a couple of questions.
Yes.
So Split Rock's coming in with a critique on your workbench. He says that I see Tamiya thin glues, but no taco sauce.
That's because the taco sauce, if you look, is right here.
Oh, and
here, let me move the canopy glue so you can see your taco sauce.
There you go. There we go.
There we go. Got a couple of different taco sauces here. There we go. And this is actually decal setting solution.
Wow.
So, but the engine is coming along. I know where everything's at, David.
Yeah, and then John 2618 says there's so much room. I think he's right. There's probably room for at least. I'm sure he's talking about inside the locomotive, but on the workbench there's a lot of room there for more projects.
Well, and then this is kind of sucking up a lot of space right here.
Yeah.
And before we go too much farther, I would like to say thank you to Boomer for making your videos, and thanks a lot, Boomer, for making your videos. Because this is my warehouse, and this is the back. This is what the inside of it looks like. I did this according to the way, or sort of the way, that Boomer did some of his buildings, or most of his buildings, where I made a wood shell first. I made a wood mock-up of it, and then I glued styrene on the roof. I still have this little strip right here on the top to do, and a little bit of cleanup on this end here to do. But the rest of it looks like this, and this is all styrene cut shapes. And yes, there are no doors in there yet because I have to cut the door openings and drill them out and measure them and drill them out yet. But this is my S-scale warehouse that I'm working on. And
Nice.
this really didn't take that much. These are wood blocks, by the way. These are hobby blocks that I found at Menards. Just a set of wood hobby blocks.
Wow.
And it's, just set up as
Well, you could even use like Jenga blocks or something like that too, right?
you could use any kind of block. It comes out, it's a few inches higher than what a normal dock would be, but oh well. You're not going to see it when a boxcar is sitting there anyway. And then I just use 40,000th styrene for all of this. I have a big sheet of it, and I just cut pieces off of the sheet and went through and started putting this together. And it's been very relaxing, very enjoyable, and a lot of fun to actually do this. And I had talked to Boomer one time before, and he's 100% right. This thing is, I'll be able to take this to any layout I want to, or put it on any layout I want to build, because it's almost indestructible. I mean, it's solid. It is but doesn't weigh a ton. This is basswood that I used on these, and no, I did not seal the wood. That's a learning thing, but I have not had any issues with the styrene coming off from the glue and stuff like that. So that's what I've been working on, and fun project. So scratch building, don't be afraid to dive your hands into it. Get right into it. Mike Shanky, I expect to see something out of you here in the next couple of weeks, because every time we do something like this, he ends up trying something new, and his weathering is coming along really good. And so that's what's on my workbench right now. Andy, how about you?
I don't even know how to say this, but the Boomer interview that we had was a bit of an influence on myself, because there was the bit of downtime and some thought that happened between my next modeling project, and something that if you're really not passionate about it, if you really don't love it, um, you might just be spinning your wheels. And for me, that was the truth. And talking about the Mascoutin Valley Railroad and how it wasn't really inspiring. I wasn't passionate about it. I just was trying to flex my creative outlet, and it wasn't panning out. I wasn't getting the traction that I wanted to on the railroad. So I thought about it, and I'll be making a switch here to model more of a prototypical type situation. So I'll be modeling the Chicago Northwestern Iron River subdivision in the 1970s, and my workbench now is really going to be focused on getting the power set up for that. So yeah, so some of you guys, oh, not another switch. Don't do this to us, Andy. Mike Slater. But yeah, so at Trainfest, the big, it'll still be an iron ore hauling railroad, that type of stuff. But we did pick up the Bowser Elko C628s. I managed to get 3 of them while I was at the show. Yes,
you
Thomas
stole
Chris,
3 of them is what you did.
I bought 3 of them at the show.
Dude, that was such a good price. I can't believe you got them for that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
those shows are great for finding older equipment like that.
Yeah. And then Boomer, you did ask, the layout behind looks awesome. Thank you. And Yeah, I can talk about it. So basically, what I have, well, let's see if I can do this without get my blocking here right. What I have behind me here is essentially a spur um, that didn't fit into the story of my model railroad on the Mascoutin Valley. But now, since I've transitioned over to this Iron River subdivision, this old spur behind us here is going to be an old iron mine that is defunct and gone. And the water scene. Oh, this is going to be fun for the replay. The water scene behind me here is that's going to be an old mining pit that's filled up with water. And basically, what we have is some exposed rock over here. And maybe I can just swing the camera over just a little bit so you can see that, like a rock cut. Um, and I went ahead and airbrushed the coloring onto that. We added some static grass. We weathered the ties and just really started to make this decrepit branch line to this old mine, um, really look really well weathered. And we're talking about the coloring. So I studied a lot of pictures, and I went hiking around in the northern woods of Wisconsin and upper Michigan. And basically, I took pictures to get the color palette right. I laid them all out on a piece of paper, and that's essentially what you see behind me here is that color scheme just by translating real life to you know the the what Tamiya what I Tamiya paint I could mix up. So yeah, it is turning out pretty good. Um, but yeah, it's been a lot of trial and error. Let's put it that way, to get those types of colors. So yeah, Split Rock has a question here. It says any industries other than ore on the layout. So right now, the scene that we'll have here, um, directly in front of me, will be the first iron mine. On the other side of the backdrop will be another one, and then we are going to basically these will be the two iron mines in Iron River area. They'll go to Stambo, Michigan, where there'll be a yard where they'll pick up the ore trains and take them over to Escanaba, Michigan. I am going to have a tie-in with the Milwaukee Road as well, and we will be doing the handoff of the Milwaukee Road iron ore at Antoine in Michigan, to take away, and then we will have part of the Milwaukee Road main line coming up in there as well. So it's going to be a great project and it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be some interesting operations that come from it as well. So
road trip.
Yeah, we should go to Randville. That'd be fun. So, anyways, so that's what's been on my workbench. Um, and then there's a few other questions or comments here. SDL 39s, no. I don't know. I don't think they ever made it up there.
Nope.
It was a lot of GP9s for the Milwaukee Road. F units, and
some Jeep 40s from
Jeep
time to
40s
time.
and a Jeep 39.
GP 35s from time to time. Mostly F units, to be honest, in the 70s.
Yeah. Crusty old F units. That's right.
Plywood sided F units.
Yeah, plywood holes in the headlight.
Old,
yeah. But yeah, so it's going to be a fun project. And truth be told, this is something that I'm really passionate about. I've always been a C&W guy. Grew up with it, and the iron mines are, just it's fascinating to me. That whole industry in the upper Michigan. So that's what's on my workbench. Let's take a look at what's on everyone else's. So we're going to go out to our Facebook page here. It's a Second Section podcast Facebook
This is one of my
page.
favorite things.
Is it?
Yeah, I love doing this. This is great. I love seeing what other guys
Here,
are
let's
doing.
get the big board up here. I'm gonna pencils down now, folks. So we're gonna do the big refresh here. Still have Ralph's interview, some weathering tips tagged there at the top. So what's on our workbench? Well, let's take a look. We have 62 comments to get through tonight. This is holy smokes, a lot here. So first on the list here, it says Paul Bukowski says, I'm in the process of rebuilding an S-scale brass GP38-2.
Yeah.
And
have fun.
So there's not much there.
That's an, if I believe if I'm correct, that's an Overland model. Overland did make a handful of S-scale brass. Made some GP38-2s, some ST40-2s. They even made some tunnel motors. But they're few and far between. They're a tank drive. If that's part of the issue with them, and that's exactly what you're looking at there. That
right
is
here in the center of the screen.
Yeah, that is a tank drive. So the drive comes out. The drive from the motor comes out out of the sides of the fuel tank, and you can see the shafts and the gears, and it's not an easy rebuild process. And good luck.
Wow.
You're well on your way, that's for sure. So
wow. I have a lot of respect for someone who goes into and blows apart a brass model. So
yeah.
I know William Sampson did with his.
Robert Frischella has done it before.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
Good luck, Paul.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Luke Lemons with his what he likes to call his brass Athearn. It's a brass shell with an Athearn chassis under it.
Shane Mason chiming in here says, getting all the wiring trimmed and placed into this N-scale Kato Amtrak P42 number 160. This
cool
unit
looking.
got a full front end light package and step lights. So this is really, really, for N-scale, I just can't believe it. I'm just blown away.
Yeah,
the detail.
Shane, you're talented, bud.
Yeah, Shane was on the show the last go round.
Yeah.
But I do have a couple of comments here for Shane. There's a ton of space on this workbench for projects. I feel that we haven't really utilized the vertical.
I'd like to know what's up with the cigarette lighter.
Yeah, maybe that the can of bubble tape back there.
And the bubble tape. Yep, he's got his bubble tape back there.
But other than that, the model looks fantastic.
Way too much space. Way too much space.
Let's see here. Tom O'Connell. Oh my God, look at the organization here. Weathering projects and a new decoder, speakers, ditch lights, and LEDs in this MP15 AC. Oh my God. So let's take a look here. We're going to zoom in. So it looks like we're doing quite a bit of the weathering. Got our Tamiya pan pastels, nice wash, the list of things going on. In the back left, I believe that looks like the chassis of that MP15.
Is that a carousel that he's got that on? Like a little carousel type thing?
Like a Lazy Susan type deal?
Yeah.
Yep. Carousel. I think it looks like it. So you can spin the model around and not actually touch it.
Yeah.
That's well done. Very, very organized workbench. He's even got a tree, looks like in a foam block, like a wire tree set up here on the far right. Pipettes in a beautiful metal stein.
Yeah, right.
That's unbelievable. Well, Tom, we're going to need to know what's going on with the stein over here. That's
I will say,
holder.
Unacceptable amount of organization on here, though.
Yeah, it's pretty well organized.
Oh man.
Oh, I like this, the paper towel holder.
I like that a lot too.
I'm going to steal that idea, Tom.
I definitely need one of those.
All right, here's good picture from Matt Forkum. It says, my daughter and I have been working on our respective modeling projects the past couple of weekends on a card table in my train room. And it looks like we're doing some sort of construction here. I see Matt Medium, oh plenty. So you get bonus points for that. And looks like some cars are being, looks like couplers and wheel sets taking place here, Matt. And some maintenance. Looking good. Yeah, you can have a nice card table as your workbench and then slide it away when you're done. Very well done. Be interesting to see what your daughter's working on in the back there, if that's a building or something else. Looks pretty interesting. Have to let us know what's going on with that. All right, Clem Harris. Looks like we got another DCC project here on the workbench. Illinois Terminal locomotive, and it said it's going to rough this up. Nothing is sacred here. Nothing. So looks like there's going to be some milling that's going to come about, I'm going to guess. And good luck, Clem. Nick LaRusso just working on an overhead crane for the team track for his club's layout. That's looking good. On the carousel here again.
I need to make one of those.
Yeah. That would be a good thing to talk about with our next workbench organization.
Yeah.
Those carousels are handy. All right, Chris Haddo. No time for modeling, and yes, the crew knew I was in the phone zone. Man, he's got the Detroit Lions mug there. And they've won 2 games in a row.
One against us.
And one against our beloved, well, not maybe more maligned Green Bay Packers. But yeah, looking good, Chris. All right, here we go. Mike Shanky says, still doing through my weathering of the locomotives. Did some JMRI tweaks to improve the flow on the layout as well. Man, so he's starting to get a little more of the disorganization here. The workbench is still, beautiful oak workbench, but taco sauce is in full sight. Looks like we got some JMRI going on in the background and an MP15 there.
Really impressed with the level of confidence he's come from where he started to where he is right now. I mean, I tell you what, you're killing it, Mike. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, they're looking. His locomotives are turning out really well.
Yeah, they are.
Peter
for a guy who said he could never do it. Remember?
Right. I remember him saying that he could never do it.
I could never do that.
So Peter Borchard's here building some showcase miniature N scale signal bridges. There are a few projects there as well. I need to fix couplers on a couple of Walther's well cars. Need to paint that mini Prince figure, and even an HO tank car that needs fixing. Peter, I thought you were an N scaler.
What?
Those showcase miniature signals are pretty cool kits. I know that Peter has a YouTube channel out there. I want to say it's what the BNSF Chicago sub in N scale. He's got a nice YouTube channel out there where he goes through and talks about how he builds up a couple of signals for showcase miniatures and some of the other layout stuff that he's been doing out there with JMRI, and some of his track stuff is really good too. So check Peter out. He's got a good channel going over there. But your workbench is far too tidy.
Yeah, way organized, unacceptable.
We're going to have to fix this up.
Yeah.
And we need some taco sauce. Okay, thank you, Peter. Patrick Miller, more Jeeps for my freelance Kanawha, Youngstown, and Northern Railroad. Those look really nice. GP7 and 4 GP9s are fresh out of the paint booth and have been assigned numbers. Hopefully I can start the stripes and lettering this weekend. Sorry, no taco sauce on the layout. Woo. Well, Patrick, the paint job looks really good on all 4 of these locomotives. So
It's
please share.
interesting. It's an interesting color.
It is an interesting color. It's like a gray green, unless
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very, I'll be interested to see how the rest of that decaling and everything else like that comes about and all the striping comes out.
Yeah, the sharp yellow lettering there.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of that. Please keep us posted, Patrick, on your progress on this. All right, Sal Natale says, I designed and 3D printed a base for my Digitrax PR4. I don't have a dedicated workspace or workbench, so my work moves around the apartment. This helps protect the delicate wires to the terminals. Here we go. On the PR4, and I installed a switch to toggle back and forth between the DCC power from the old Bachmann Easy DCC system and my computer programming track. I use alligator clips to connect all the additional wires to the base through the screw terminals with the wire leads coming out. The Thingiverse file is out here as well. And I think I have another picture of it.
That's really neat.
That is clever. That is really clever.
That is really smart.
Yeah.
Hashtag
might be stealing that. Nice job, Sal. Here it is here with the alligator clips. Nice. All right. Timmy Ellum Chapman detailing the rooftops of my N-scale fire station.
Wow.
Now, this is a really cool building that we have here. The bush on top of the little shrubs on top of the building here. Nice weathering. The brick detail's pretty darn good. This is really good stuff, Timmy. Well done.
I like its fence.
Yeah, right?
The fence is really neat. I like the little shrub at the very top.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Said the small vent is actually an HO scale buffer.
Oh, nice. That almost looks like a thumbtack right there where your cursor is.
Yeah, right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, well done. All right, Justin Hendrickson. I think he was sad that he couldn't be here tonight. Not too much here. The last 2 weeks have been busy. Made a small amount of progress on my American Model Builders barn. Still have a way to go. The workbench is slightly clearer than normal. I have been cleaning it for its move to its next permanent location next month. Fingers crossed, some bench work is starting around the first of the year for his layout. So I got to see a couple of other pictures of this barn, but Justin is really doing a bang up job here with the weathering behind the red, that faded barn red panel. He did a really nice job. I got to see a couple of build pictures prior to. He did really look good. I look forward to seeing how this turns out. And I do see, looks like an Alco C628 back there in the background, as well as a Milwaukee Road unit.
That's a GP40. GP40, yep.
Yeah, so you got quite a few projects going on here as well.
Where's the taco sauce? Oh, there it is, right over there.
It's behind the Mr. Cement.
Yeah, I see it. Yep.
Yeah. Look forward to things coming from Justin here in the new year. It's going to be fun to watch his model railroad. All right, Greg Gay. Bless me, fathers, for I have sinned. It's been 2 weeks since I've cleaned off my bench and haven't been down in the cold basement. And first of all, the bench is still pretty darn clean. And
I'd take that level of clean.
I would take that level of clean. But what I really like is the cutting mat. Like this thing has been through a few hardcore modeling sessions. This thing is war torn. I just love the modeling mat.
Is that paint or are those pieces of tape that he's got there, the blue and the parts
I'm
of
gonna guess they're tape,
I'm gonna guess
like
that
modeler's
too.
tape. But there's paint smeared everywhere. You can see there's old CA and super glue and just little bits of looks like electrical tape and masking tape. I mean, some burn marks probably from a soldering iron.
I'll give you
Uh,
3 guesses as to where he does most of his cutting.
yeah, right. There's some visible grooves, um, and it's this thing. They should hang this in like a model railroad hall of fame.
Yeah.
Like a modeler's hall of fame to see this. This would be should be enshrined. Nice, Greg. All right, Ryan Osmalski. I'm working on a previously broken desk so I can stop using the dinner table as a workbench.
Oh, good
Now
idea.
I just need to move it to the basement so I can have somewhere to put my green cutting mat and taco sauce. I can't
Nice.
wait to see all of the projects on this new workbench.
I know.
I
I
just
know,
a lot
right?
of potential here.
The shout out for the Blackstone right next to him though. Got
The grill,
the griddle. Yeah,
the
the griddle.
griddle.
Blackstone griddle. Yep.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Yeah. So Ryan, you'll have to keep us posted um, when the projects start to pile up on this baby. I look forward to it. And get that green cutting mat on there. Oh my gosh, we got 28 more comments to go. Holy cow. All right, let's see here. Joseph Giento. We are custom painting Great Northern E8s for a client. HO scale. Oh my.
Yeah,
So I think
I like the way he's organized, but yet he really doesn't have. He has room, but it's not a lot of room.
no, there's some room. We could probably get a couple more.
Is that a piece of
Um,
rug?
yeah, it looks like a rug. It's interesting.
Huh.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe um, Joseph has a YouTube channel. Um, I want to say it's Touch of the Brush Weathering, if I'm not mistaken. But he's got some cool videos out there too. But I see a lot of look at this. What's this? An old timetable. Oh, from Union Pacific Overland days, it looks like. That's cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Nice job. Ah, and then he's also got a layout going on here. Also, the HO scale pen and reading industrial division is progressing. Very cool. A fictional town of Emma, Pennsylvania, is a railroad town off the PRR Wilkes-Barre branch. The Reading also interchanges off of the Catawissa branch. I do not know how to pronounce a lot of these words in this paragraph.
Well, it's kind of
So
this. It's a kind of the same thing as like if you bring somebody from out of state up into Wisconsin to try to
yeah,
get them to pronounce our town names.
yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. I don't know how to pronounce half the names on the East Coast.
yeah. It's really. I mean, you got some nice buildings in the background there, and it looks like the track work's all laid out and ready to go. So can't wait to see some trains running on this. Way to go, Joseph.
What era do you think that is?
Well, he says there it's 1945 through
Oh yeah, there it is.
1968, and then um,
Oh, so you
75 through 98 era. So it's
switch back and forth.
yeah, it's a
Nice.
model. It's a multi-era layout.
That's a good idea.
It is a good idea. Have a throwback night, and run some old steam. Whoops. All right. Let's see here. I don't know if this is going to pop up, but Eric Poiselli says Athern SD45-2 TCS decoder mated to a decoder buddy from Nick Santo and dual speakers from Scale Sounds and JT Burke's LED headlights. I'm gonna guess this thing is just just howls. Um, but yeah,
See if it'll
it's
play. See if it'll play.
let's see if it'll play. Well, I don't think the sound's gonna come through on the
Oh,
audio, but just from the end, the looks of it itself, uh, the LEDs are pretty bright, and the cab interior is lit up pretty well too. So
yeah.
I would go and check this video out to see how this locomotive sounds.
That's so cool.
All right, let's see here. John Garvin says I've been working on building the building that I first built in 1988 for my practice layout. Atlas Code 100 and snap switches, etc. Only last year did I start modeling again. My two scratch and bash structures have the glue letting go and need help. All I can say is I'm really having fun getting started in the hobby again. The pictures are of the annex I'm adding to the whole pile of adjustments are coming my way. So this looks like we got a building flat here. And the workbench is quite tidy. See, it's got a nice little tray for parts here. I've employed that method myself. And this building looks like it's starting to take shape. And
Oh, how cool is that? That's neat.
that's a good flat.
I
When
like
it's
that.
all, yeah, it works right in there. It's got a nice like a platform there also for loading cars. That's pretty cool. And if I'm not mistaken, it looks like this was part of the basis for the kit bash was this locomotive maintenance building. And it
Oh,
looks like if I'm looking at it right, it looks like the windows from this are in that building flat.
that's a great repurpose of that
Yeah,
kit.
that's a cool
That's a
way to,
cool utilization of that.
yeah. Nice job, John.
I wonder if that's based off of something he saw
I
at
don't
one point
know.
in his. If at one point in his life, look at it. Like he's got the end, like the rear is the middle. See that?
Yeah,
Because it's got the peak to it, and then you have. I was wondering about because I noticed the one is a little wider spacing, and but now it makes sense. It's really cool, nicely
yeah.
done.
It's awesome. You'll have to let us know what the inspiration was behind that, John. All right. Tony Dixon. So Tony was just at the National Farm and Toy Show
Yep.
this last week, and he says not on the workbench, but a lot of it had been English. That's my second language. This is a culmination of the work that I had done for Chris Steeb's National Farm Toy Show display for the competition. The display was finished up in my garage 3 days immediately before the first weekend in November. Now this is cool how Tony was so incorporated um, model railroading in with farm toys.
Well, a lot
And
of farm toy stuff is like 1/64 scale
it's
or HO scale or
and
1/87th
it's
and
not
stuff
really
like
a
that.
toy.
No,
It
it's not.
it's not a they're not toys anymore. They're basically replica models now.
These guys at the National Farm, these National Farm Toy guys are just as ravenous as
Model
scale
railroaders.
model railroaders are. They are very much in tune with what they're building.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like they got a repurposed like front end loader here, shuttling cars back and forth
Yep.
at the elevator. It's pretty
Their little
cool.
trackmobile type thing.
Yeah. So I suggest everyone go and check out these pictures of this, basically the diorama or the model that Tony helped build here. This is really, really good modeling.
Yeah. Tony does good work.
Yes, he does. Oh, this is cool. So he's got the grain elevator here and then cutaway of one of the grain bins.
Yeah.
And you can see the grain inside of it. That's kind of a neat that's kind of a neat way to display that. Now you have to tell me, Tony, are those soybeans or is that corn or wheat? What do we got in there?
Barley, maybe?
Barley, maybe barley. And
Yep.
look at that. So this display took second place.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Does not surprise me.
Well done. And here's a picture of
What a
that front
shiny
angle.
got on those bills.
Yeah, on those bins.
On the bins. How
Yeah.
shiny they were.
Yeah, they're bright. And there it is all in all of its glory. Well done. See a lot of people at this show too.
Yeah.
All right. Ken DeBecky it says the streets are mostly done, focusing on the structures and details next. So we got the street running scene here on Ken's layout. See the buses are off the tracks. Now, does my eye spy one of those Rapido
Oh, station wagons?
Yeah, the old station wagon, the Woody wagon back there.
Kind of looks like one.
Looks like one. Really nice job on the cars here, Ken. And look at that. There's even tagging on this locomotive as well on the lead end. Yikes. The roads are looking good, though. They're starting to come in nice.
Yes. Okay.
Paul August, sorting through my scenery inventory.
I'm going to let you handle this one.
It still looks really organized for sorting.
It does.
But this one right here. Paid toilet, 5 cents for the Northwestern in the back. This is awesome. I want one of those for my layout bathroom that I have down here. I need one of those. And then here we are, Paul showcasing some of his modeling. Scratch built a lumberyard building. That looks amazing. Nice job, Paul. I like the tar paper roof and how it's kind of ratty on the edges by the seams. Like it would be like starting to claw back. Sifting dirt for ground cover.
Oh, I did that when I got rid of my stand-up garden.
Yeah.
I have the hand cramps still from doing it.
And then making grain doors for boxcars. Oh, look at that.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Those look sharp. I like that.
You'll have to tell us how you did the nail holes. If like you used if you did it like individually with a pin, or if you used one of those like pizza cutter dealies. I don't know what they're called. The spiky pizza cutter. Nice job, Paul. David Winther. Finished the brass caboose I started some time ago. It looks really good. Nice job, David. It really turned out well.
That turned out amazing.
And it's even in my favorite railroad.
Uh-huh.
You get bonus points for that. David Nitch, building these period coal cars stick by stick. Whoa.
Wow. Nicely done, dude.
Look at that.
That is really cool.
I can't wait to see what these turn out like. Look at the brake wheel on the one end here. That's
That
pretty
looks
sharp.
so neat.
Please keep us posted, Dave, on this. I want to see more of this. That's for sure. I also want to see more projects on this workbench. I think there's some potential here. There's
Well,
some
he's got
space.
the what is it, 3-2-1 block over there. He's
Yeah,
got one
three,
of
two, one
those.
block. Looks like we got a little scale, some paint. And we'll have to get some taco
Zoom,
sauce in there.
zooming in on your project before and cropping your photo. That I don't know, Andy. That I want to see what the rest of that workbench looks like.
Yeah, I think so. Philip Dimmer in the process of weathering up these two. These are a couple of nice, grungy looking Union Pacific. One looks like is that an SD90?
No, it's a SD70M-2 probably, or
Okay.
whatever Union Pacific alphabet soup locomotive designation they decided to give it. But that's what it looks like to me.
Okay. And then the one in the back, is that, I can't tell what that one is.
I think
Not,
that's one of the SD70M. I think that's an SD70M.
yeah.
I think they're both
Regardless,
SD70s
it
of some sort.
looks like these two have been beat up pretty good. The cutting mat though is, boy, that's not, it's still pretty new compared to some of the ones we've seen earlier in the show here. A lot of room for more projects, but modeling is top rate, Philip. Look forward to see the end results here. It's really good. I like how you did the fans on the top. Oh, here we go. Another one from Dave Nitch. Looks like we're coming up. Looks like doing some. Oh,
Look at, okay, there you go.
taco sauce.
Yeah. Now, see, that's what I was talking about. See, that looks like a different view of the workbench. So maybe because that's that 3-2-1 block there.
Yeah. I think he's having a bit of fun with us this evening.
Maybe.
But regardless, this is, I can't believe stick by stick creation. This is unbelievable, Dave.
That's a lot of popsicles.
Thomas Austin hardwiring a Kato SD40-2 1999 run, milled the channels for the front truck wires.
Wow.
This is the first time I think we've seen a mill on the show.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I wish I had a mill.
I know.
I just use a grinder. It makes a mess.
I know Luke Lemons has got an XYZ table.
Does he?
That he uses with his bench press
Mm.
and milling stuff. You could always do something like that.
Here we go. Philip Dimmer and with another one. Also trying out a couple of gondola denting tricks that he learned from Dan's Railroad 2011 and Engineer Hall's YouTube channel.
Huh.
So those are both, I think I'm subscribed to both of those channels, and they're both very good. And the denting, it looks pretty nice. That the Wisconsin Central one looks pretty beat up. They're always beat up. I remember
they were always beat up.
So bad.
Those poor things.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, that's a SD70 Ace split rocks. Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. Here we go. So Mike Slater, no workbench this week, but we did have a small layout at the show in Milwaukee.
Oh, and that's the one you were talking about.
This is the one I was talking about earlier, with the traction setup, the trolley setup, the Interurban. It was really good.
That's cool.
I brought my son by this, and he absolutely just loved it. He loves this Interurban stuff. It's crazy.
That's kind of cool. That's really cool that he does.
Yeah. The layout was well done, Mike, by the way, if you're still on. Really, really good stuff. Graham Stockfield, nothing in the work area, just finished a DCC install for a mate while we were watching the SSPC. Oh man, some disarray here, but a lot of space for projects. A lot of
Yeah.
space. Thanks, Graham. Liam Hoffman, getting this old Fox River Valley Jeep ready for service on the Valley sub.
Oh, way too clean.
Yeah.
I literally have nightmares about that locomotive.
Really?
Oh my god. Yeah.
4119?
Oh my god, yes. Yeah, I remember we were supposed to take it out on a train one time as a head lead unit on the WC, and it kept popping the water button. So we called the mechanical guy in Green Bay, and he came down and he said, "There, I got it fixed." He says, "Just don't move the fusee that's holding in the water button." So there was a fusee that he jammed against the car body and the water button to keep the water button from popping out.
That's great.
Oh yeah, it was. But that engine was actually not a bad running engine. It was just it liked to overheat.
Well, probably because it didn't have any water.
Well, it helps.
Well done.
That's looking good though. FRVR,
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of FRVR
No,
stuff.
you don't see a lot of the fever.
Nope.
David Winter also trying to learn SketchUp by designing Tower NW for a scratch build.
Nice. I like
That
that.
is good. I really like that, David.
I like that a lot.
You're going to have to teach me how to use SketchUp.
That's what I use when I design stuff is SketchUp.
You are.
Yep.
This was on the bench, Boomer inspired. Hey, another looks like a
boom.
warehouse flat.
Yep. Yep.
Tom, well done.
That's looking amazing.
Oh, looks like his cutting mat's seen better days too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his beats the other one.
Yeah. One more comment down there. And then looks like the last one in on the night here is from Ray Arnott and from the Around the Layout podcast. And this is what's on his workbench for the podcast as the layout suffers. So I know Ray is doing quite a bit to with his Around the Layout podcast. Really good podcast. Yep. You guys should all check it out. That and the Crossing Gate as well. Really, those two podcasts. Really like what they're putting out. Good content from both of those podcasts. So well done, Ray. Thanks for sharing. Let's see here. I think that's going to do it for what's on our workbench this evening. That was
that was
amazing.
You guys, I tell you what, you guys did a little bit, but you never disappoint with what you guys come up with. It's really, really cool. Like I said, it's one of my favorite parts of doing this is seeing what other guys are doing. And it's the progress that some of these guys have got. Have you ever noticed like a year ago, almost a year ago,
right?
Some of these guys have been with us the whole time and doing this whole workbench thing, and the progress that you're seeing from these guys,
right,
is just it makes me happy. Gives me the warm feels, so to speak. As to quote Tom Jacobs.
Yeah, and it's been fun watching the progression. For a lot of the modelers, over this year, and for some of the other ones like Split Rock, I know he's been out here quite a bit, but watching his layout progress over the years as well, and it's just a fun thing to see. But this group of people and seeing what's on the workbench, I really love that, and seeing their projects progress over time, and just watching their skills improve as well. So super awesome. So Thanks, section crew, for sharing. It was a really good effort from the team tonight. Over 60 some comments. That might be a new record for us. You know what? I think we'll give Tom O'Connell the workbench of the week.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. That cutting mat, oof, that's it was, and
And
he
that's
said
the
that
good
was the
side of the mat.
and he said that was the good side of the mat. So I can't
I
imagine what the other side. So congratulations, Tom, on workbench of the week. It's good to see some of the modeling that's out there.
Mine is still green, so I feel
Yeah,
really
mine's
inadequate.
yeah. I got
I'm
a couple of
so
paint stains, but that's about it. But anyways, just a couple of notes here for the section crew tonight. So we're still carrying about 45, 50 people in the chat. So thanks for sticking with us here well into hour two. Couple of administrative notes. If you guys haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure that you go ahead and do that. That helps support the podcast here. And it also gives you the ability to see notifications on when our next shows are, what the topics are going to be about, and then access to the community tab as well in there. And then make sure to check out our Facebook page, Second Section Podcast. We're out there on Facebook land as well. Again, joining is super painless. Just answer the questions 3 and you get in for free. And then we're also out there on just regular old internet, secondsectionpodcast.com, where we post all of our live streams out there. We also do an audio version. Basically, I just strip the live streams and throw it out into audio. We're out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the major podcast hosting sites. You you can grab us there. So just wanted to give a plug. Now, I do have one other note. There was some people that were asking about stickers, and if they haven't got theirs yet. I think Dodo One Ops was out there, was asking for a sticker, and there was another fella out there that said hadn't gotten his stickers yet. I have sent them out, so they're, with the exception of the requests for stickers that I have last week. So, Brian, if you're still listening, I did send out stickers to your address. Otherwise, email us at secondsectionpodcast@gmail.com with your address, and I will get those out there. So, how do you get a sticker? Otter Creek and Rio Grande, you want to know? Just email us at secondsectionpodcast@gmail.com with your address, and I will email you one out. I still have a handful left, and I'll get through those this week. Apologize for the delay on stickers, but you will, if you emailed me, you will get one.
and if I may be so bold, if anybody has any stickers for their own personal layout, let us know, because I want to start doing, and Andy and I have kind of talked about doing
Yeah.
like a little wall of layouts behind us, kind of as a, or
Right.
and have like a little sticker wall of some sort. And
Right.
so it would be awesome to kind of to
Yeah.
get some
So,
stickers from you guys too. Yeah, there you
like
go,
the
Denver
Denver
route.
route, and then we got Paul Kassar with the Riverbelt line, and I know that I think I saw one for the beer line modeler as well. Um,
I have beer line modeler right here.
yep, there you
Yep.
go. And then we got around the layout,
Yep.
and then home shops as well. I know Mini Prints and Tangent. I got some
Oh,
Intermount ones.
he wasn't at Train Fest.
Who's that?
Chris Palomeri, was he?
I didn't. I don't think so.
Oh,
So yeah. Oh, and there's the bot.
there. Wow, that took a long time. Let's see.
All right.
Are you able to get him or no? Did you get him?
I think I got him.
All
But
right.
yeah, so um, if anyone needs stickers, we got a couple left. Email us at secondsectionpodcast@gmail.com. And then And then if you want to send us a sticker, email us email us there as well, and we can send our information out, and you can
Yep.
email us a sticker of your layout, and we'll get it up on the show. So, Mike, any so Gaz 3801 says just tuned in after work. I have to reply.
What I
What I
missed?
missed?
Not much.
Not much. We didn't cover a whole lot tonight.
Nah.
We just kind of hung out. No, it was a fun packed show, as always. David Winther, have a great Thanksgiving. Yes, and you
Yeah,
as
their next
well.
show will be after Thanksgiving, correct?
Our next show will be after Thanksgiving, so American Thanksgiving, anyways. So that'll be interesting to come back and get ready for the Christmas season here. So I know Mike and I had talked about this as well. We're going to do something special for our year anniversary show. So keep an eye out for that. We may do something a little different than what we've had and get the section crew involved. So keep an eye out for our Christmas show. It should be a blast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so Mike, any final thoughts about Trainfest, or the other things that we covered in the show tonight? What's on the workbench, that type of stuff?
Yeah, Trainfest, love the direction Kallenbach took it. I hope they opened it up a little bit more, like we talked about. But just overall, the vibe of the show was awesome. It was just really, really, really good to be back in that setting in Milwaukee again.
Yeah.
It was well done, and if you have an opportunity to get out to a train show in your local area, or one of the bigger ones that are coming up, which I'm not sure what the next big one would be other than Springfield. I don't know if there's anything.
There's a
the
few
Madison
regional.
show. The Madison show is coming up. I think that's in February, I believe. Right?
Yep. And the Green Bay show as well, that's coming up in spring. But I think around the United States and even around the world, there are a handful of larger regional shows as well. So
yeah, get out and get to your show. Get out and get to it.
fun.
Have fun, and just you
Arctic
never know what
Run.
you're gonna find. Yep, Arctic Run. Oh yeah, Arctic Run's coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know what more I can say other than thank you to everybody for everything. This has been a lot of fun today for tonight.
Yeah.
These shows, I can't tell you how many people came up to me at Trainfest and told me how much they enjoyed things and what we're doing, and it was a very humbling experience at Trainfest for me. Is what it was. It meant a lot. Vendors telling me that, saying things to me, and some of the vendors are friends of ours, and so it's and we don't even pay them to say it. So, but they it really been pretty cool. It was a cool weekend, busy weekend, and the Packers won.
Yeah, we can't not discuss a little American football here.
No, I was there, so I mean,
that's right. You went to the game, so
yeah, I went to the game and froze.
Yeah,
it wasn't even that cold, but
I'll share the same sentiment. Trainfest is back, at least in my opinion, and they put on a great showing this year, and of course, there's going to be some of the naysayers out there, but at least for me, I had a great time. I got to see Mike Slater. I hadn't seen him in forever. It was cool to hang out with him. Talking with the folks from the Sioux Line. Paul Bukowski was there. I got to meet him. And just, and a handful of other people from the section crew that were all there as well. And then going out to lunch and laughing and joking and having a good time and talking about trains. And, doing a little retail therapy too. That didn't hurt for one bit. And then you got to see the great operating layouts and talk trains with people. It was fantastic. So it was, in my book, it was a home run. I loved it. It brought back memories of when I was a kid first going to Train Fest. Big deal for me, right? And I got to share that with my son. So, and he had a fantastic time when he was there. So I look forward to more Train Fests coming down the line. So
This is the first time I went to Train Fest that I did not leave early and that I did not go rail fanning in the middle of the show.
yeah, I stayed there the whole
I
day on
stayed there the whole
Saturday.
time. Yep.
Saturday, I stayed there the whole day, and
Yep.
it was unbelievable. It was
Yep.
unbelievable. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
So that being said, I think we're about ready to get tied down for tonight, Mike.
Yep.
So a couple last notes. If you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that. You can find us out on all your major audio for the audio podcast. You can find us out on Spotify and Apple, iTunes, and Google and Amazon. We're all out there on the major platforms. And then, of course, check out the community at the Facebook page. A lot of fun going on in there and some great modeling. Second Section Podcast on Facebook, our group. Make sure you guys check it out. Good community brewing in there. A lot of good modeling, a lot of good tips. So I appreciate everyone sticking it out tonight. Mike, what do
Yeah.
you think? Good?
I'm good.
All right.
This is a good cap to an exhausting 4 days.
Yes. So thank you, Section Crew. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks for our year anniversary show. Good night,
Yep.
everybody.
Night.